This is the SLR Magic Front Anamorphic Adapter. This kit includes the front anamorphic adapter, 3 step-up rings from 52mm, 49mm, and 58mm, 2 achromatic diopters in plus 0.33 and plus 1.3, and a 35mm T1.4 taking lens that has been structurally enhanced in order to hold the weight of the front anamorphic adapter. It is a 1.33x squeeze lens. So with a 16:9 native sensor, you will get a 2.351 unsqueezed image. Easy to think of it as a wide angle adapter that only works in one direction. It horizontally expands but vertically stays the same. The benefit of this type of adapter is that it gives some interesting effects like flares that go across the screen that you may have seen in many Hollywood type films, and it has the ability to give a interesting bokeh effects that can only be done optically. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up the lens and some basic focus tips. The first thing we're going to do is mount the SLR Magic Prime to the Blackmagic cinema camera. The prime lens has an all-metal construction. That keeps the lens from sagging when the adapter is on the front of the lens. Now, if you use the adapter with other lenses, over time, depending on their construction, they can sag and then it becomes very hard to turn the focus. So that's one of the benefits of using the SLR Magic 35mm prime with this anamorphic adapter. Now we're going to attach the 52mm step-up ring to the anamorphic adapter and then attach it to the prime lens. You see these ridges are designed to help attach and detach lenses on and off with the anamorphic adapter, and it works really well. And they're also built of metal as well, so it's an extremely solid product. Now, with the anamorphic adapter attached, there are 3 thumb screws that adjust the alignment of the anamorphic adapter. Now, you always want this little white line at the top to be absolutely vertical. So we're going to get it as close as possible before aligning it with an LED. You can do that by finding some mark on the top of the lens. I'm using the f-stop mark here in order to get it at least close. You can slightly tighten it and get it ready for the next step, which is we're going to shine an LED light straight into the lens. So we have an LED light here pointed straight into the lens, and looking at the back of the camera, we see that the horizontal flare is off to the side. It has a slight bend to it. Now, the problem with this is that with that, you'll have any vertical lines off as well, and you can't fix this in post, so it's absolutely critical that you get this horizontal line perfectly even across the frame. So once again, we loosen the thumb screws and slowly turn it until it looks just about even. Now, you can tilt the camera up and down with your LCD screen and try to align it there with the bottom of your screen and the sides of your screen, depending on the flare that you have. Another important note is you're going to want to use a very strong flashlight if you're shooting outside. That way you can actually see the flare, and it actually flares when the lens is stopped down. Otherwise, you can stop open the lens to see the flare better if you can actually do that in a bright sunlight situation. Okay, let's talk about the basics of focusing the anamorphic adapter. On the wall we have a star chart and an anamorphic printed size resolution chart. Now, what these are here for is for us to be able to make sure that where we're focusing is focused both horizontally and vertically. Now, if you look at the star pattern here on the Blackmagic screen, you can see that we have the focus assist enabled, and that shows us a nice circular pattern in the middle. That means that both horizontally and vertically the adapter is focused right now. So at f4 we can shoot from here to that wall and have it in focus. We do not need to use one of the diopters that came with it. We don't need to use the close focus mode. We can just simply set the focus on the taking lens. So right now, from here to the wall, the anamorphic adapter is in normal, and I can focus to the wall. It's around 8 to 10 feet at f4 using just the focus on the lens. Now if we want to focus closer than that, say to the mannequin, we're going to need to do something else, like use one of the diopters. Okay, so as I pull focus from the wall to the mannequin, you can see in the monitor here that she isn't quite coming into perfect focus. Now we're going to confirm that she's not in perfect focus by grabbing the star chart and putting it on her, and I'll show you what I mean. Since our target is closer than the minimum normal focus distance of this anamorphic adapter, we're going to set it a little bit closer for testing, and then we're going to refocus the lens while looking at the chart and see if that fixes the issue. Set it there, and then you adjust like that, and we can see that it fixes both vertical and horizontal lines on that. So what does that mean? We've now changed the dynamics of the lens. You have to think of the normal to near modes as a variable diopter. Once you're out of that normal mode, you're no longer going to be able to achieve infinity focus, but you're going to be able to focus very sharply on objects that are closer to the lens than the anamorphic adapter is not normally able to focus on. At this point you might be questioning if the anamorphic adapter has a variable diopter built in, why the extra achromatic diopter is included with the lens. And here's the reason why. The regular anamorphic adapter by itself does a good job shooting at f2.8 and above. But if you attach it with one of these diopters, right now I have the plus 1.33 attached, you can actually shoot with the taking lens all the way up to T1.4 and have a sharp image. You might actually be able to go faster with even a different taking lens and get a sharp image. Now, these diopters will be very sensitive into how much distance you have to focus, and the wider the f-stop, the smaller that distance will be. Right here, this is about the exact distance it works for T1.4. Great for a close-up at night, and you can get that more painterly type bokeh in the background shooting at a higher f-stop while keeping your subject sharp. The real benefit of the diopters is that the faster the f-stop, the closer that you focus to your subject, the more elongated you can have the bokeh in the background. So at this distance with the diopter on, the background behind the subject will look very close to what you'd see out of a 2x compressed lens, which typically has more oval bokeh. And with this, we'll show that oval bokeh. Okay, so let's review shooting with this lens. In normal mode, you can focus from infinity to the minimum focus distance, which will change and get closer the further you stop down. This lens combo works best at f2.8 and slower. You want to remember that when you attach the anamorphic adapter to the taking lens, you're going to need to check the alignment every single time. While the adapter does have 3 thumb screws to change the alignment, you only need 1 to hold it locked to one position. It has 3. If you lose the other 2, they can be replaced, but you only need 1 of them to actually hold it in position. One other thing to note is that this ring does have a very slight noise to it, and that's normal. If they were to make it so it didn't have noise, they'd have to use heavier materials, and that would make everything bigger and heavier. So there is a very slight noise that you can hear while turning this ring, and that is absolutely normal. Still, this is a very, very high quality lens setup. If you're comparing it to other anamorphic adapters that you get on eBay, it's not even comparable, and it is absolutely well built. If you want a closer focus than the near mode, or have a sharper picture while shooting in the near mode, that is why we have the diopters. So the diopters just screw on. These diopters also have the same coating that's on the anamorphic lens itself, so they are matched in order to have the same type of flaring characteristics you get with the anamorphic lens. What I personally like about diopters is that when you're shooting with them, you can actually get some additional flares that go vertical. You can get some other interesting effects that you can't get without shooting with diopters. So having 2 of these included, or if you have the option of ordering with or without the diopters, you definitely want these diopters. They are extremely high quality and something that no one else even sells. These are the best diopters in this size that you can even find right now. They're the only ones, this plus 1.3 and the plus 0.33. They are very special and just show all the work and dedication that SLR Magic has put into this project. Now before I leave you, I want to give you a basic understanding of the fundamentals of viewing and editing the anamorphic footage. The anamorphic footage is squeezed in one direction, so the footage that you view in your camera or on your display monitor is going to have that squeeze to it. You're going to need to unsqueeze it to see what the footage looks like correctly. Now most monitors don't have a 1.33x unsqueeze. Some do. Some monitors you can get, I believe you can set the DP4, the small HD DP4 to 1.33 with probably a couple others. A lot of them though have they're set for 2x. So what I'm going to show you is that when you bring the footage into an editing program, and here I'm just using probably the simplest to use with anamorphic footage, is Sony Vegas Pro, and I have some of the raw footage taken off of the Blackmagic camera. The raw is converted to Cineform, and here it is. It is squeezed into 16:9, and you can see that this circle here, and I chose the chart because it's easy to see, the circle is kind of an oblong shape. So what we're going to do to unsqueeze it is change the basic pixel aspect ratio to 1.33. Now you can do this in any program. You can do this in After Effects. You can do it in almost any type of nonlinear editor. I'm just going to show you this. You have to get into the specifics of the editing program that you use. But essentially now you see that this project it's a 16:9 project, and now it has black bars. If you're shooting something completely anamorphic, you're probably going to want to just make the project anamorphic, and then you can get rid of the bars, and then you can actually save and encode it without the black bars present. But now you see that when I chose the aspect ratio of pixel aspect ratio of 1.33, now it's a complete circle on that star chart. We can play it back and we can preview it full screen. One of the nice things about Vegas is that usually you can change the aspect ratio of the footage, and no matter what it is, you can play it back in real time. So the raw footage playing back, Looks like that. But it's something that you have to keep in mind every time that you're shooting, because if you're shooting with a DSLR and you don't have a screen or even a blackmagic camera, you're always viewing that squeezed image. So it won't be until post, or if you have an additional external monitor that supports it, will you be able to see the unsqueezed image. There's nothing that's going to do it for you. It's a manual process every single time. But I think that you've seen from the flares and the bokeh and all of the amazing things that can be done with these lenses, it's well worth the effort.